that's drying. Look at that. That is the ugliest. That looks like Freddy Krueger. What was that? Remember that? Swamp Thing.
They got a head.
What?
A place.
Oh. Okay. We have coated this with linseed oil. Now, we don't need much because that isn't very big. I'm going to try that. God. Give me your pants. I didn't mean that exactly like that. Okay. And we're gonna. It's really weird. We're gonna take a little Viridian grain, which is very dark. Viridian is transparent. By the way, it's the complementary color of what? Chill. Did you say alizarin crimson? Good girl. That's correct. Because it's transparent. Alizarin is transparent. On it. You ready for this? We've got a little too much oil out there, but I'm gonna get a little terp and or mineral spirits. Okay. Simply to work the paint together just like you're going to paint a wall, children. Because we want it flat and we want it dark. We're going to say I did a good job here. I didn't, but we're going to say that I did. Probably should put on my glasses. Aha! Here we go. Let's do the underside. Yes.
How long does it usually take to dry?
This, actually, you should wait about, well, that's pretty dry. This is dry enough since we had to wait on Jackie to go get the paint because I wasn't prepared. Anyway, I would wait on this black coat to dry probably 2 days.
2 days?
It's kind of, and it's just a thin coat, but it needs to be dry. Yeah, because what you're gonna rub on top of there, and you got to really be careful that you cram it down into those nooks and crannies and cracks, and because you don't want any light places down in the low, so-called low places. And anybody else that wants to experiment on one of their models today, if they're fired, whatever we've got mixed up, get it out and let's... Models. Like the eye, nose, and mouth that you did.
Yeah.
Not only would I try this method, which is a... Oh, that's kind of... I mean, looked like he's been in this swamp. Hey, whatever. Or what Indian tribe was that used to paint their face half? Do you remember that? It was in a movie.
Missed a spot.
God damn. I don't want to get that spot.
Of course you don't.
I don't want to get this all over my fingers either, but no. Anyway, this is not rocket science, guys. This is simply get it done, let it dry 2 days, and I will show you on the third day.
Supposed to be ready by Friday.
Yeah. I will show you then how to, okay, I'm gonna try to get this coated. How to build up a complementary surface coat, which this is basically a dark grade green. Does everybody follow what I'm talking about? So, I'm gonna start with a, like a burnt sienna type color, which is a low key. I think I've pretty well got this. Try to not leave a lot of brush stroke heavy paint, but just get it coated. That ta-da! I like cameras. I should have been a movie star. Questions so far? What did you just say?
Western movies.
It's Western movies.
True Grit.
No, you don't have to. Okay, what other methods are there at your disposal? Number one, staining, obviously, or glazing. I mean, there's all kinds of glazes. That's not my thing. Lane is the glaze master, expert person. I'm not. I prefer patinas that you oil paint.
And would you, if you do oil paint it, can you put a varnish over it later to make it glossy?
You can. Guys, what, would you hand me that nose that was up there that's already kind of done? Let's take this one step further without stepping. No, the nose should already. Oh, it's been antiqued. It's on the top. Let Chelsea, thank you, Chelsea. Okay, this one. See this dark greenish color? The dark greenish color was exactly like this at one time. Then we took, I don't even know, probably whatever cheap paint I had on hand. Instead, it's a little too purple, but it was some kind of rosé color instead of burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is a little more neutral and not quite so purplish, reddish. So you get exactly what you put on here, guys. But anyway, we put this on, and I put a little bit out here on a newspaper somewhere, and I will just drag my brush through it, and then I use it on the newspaper to where it's a dry brush. I always start at the tops and begin to use downward strokes, just like the light is going to catch on it. Meaning, if there's an underplane, like the nose hole, why would you put a bunch of highlights in the nose hole? Because that's where, no, you wouldn't. Does that make sense? So the underplanes or the bottom of the nose, no, don't put a lot of highlights on there. Simply downward strokes on the planes or the forms that are supposed to be catching light. Eventually, I would come back and I would highlight my highlights with a little lighter color, almost a cad red light, but very sparingly. And I usually do that while my burnt sienna is wet. The reason I do it while it's wet is because cad red light's so strong, I want it to slightly mix with the color underneath. Sometimes even use my finger to put stuff on. Just tint it a little lighter, just make it a little more form. Eventually, when this gets dry, which this is dry, you can take your hands and you can rub it in the oil off your hand, even, will begin to make it shiny. Thus, no need to put varnish on it. Do you see what I just did? Now, guys, if you put varnish on there, you're going to have it shiny up his nose hole. So, and, which is not a good thing. I kind of like that. Shiny. That's just the hands that polish. Never mind. I started to go somewhere with that. But does this make any sense to you? Do you see what? You know how bronzes begin to look when they're rubbed? Well, does that make sense to you? So it's, by the way, what kind of effort do you want to put into these things is what they're going to look like. I also would take, and it's kind of hard to find, tempera. You know where to find tempera? Powder?
Craft stores.
Crap stores. Go to the crap stores. It's like the bank down the road, IBC. What is that? Say that out loud.